Connor, you good?
Yep.
Perfect. We'll start with the opening statement from Coach, then open up for questions.
Yeah, it's always great to be here. I mean, it's such a great environment. Obviously, we were here last year, which doesn't usually happen 2 years in a row on the road, but we really like playing here in state, close to campus, and people that love their team. So thanks for having us. You know, we really wanted to come out and be aggressive as we are kind of on our journey to kind of continue to build our defensive habits. A lot of good things there. And then some things, obviously, it got sloppy. You know, we fouled them 24 times. That's sort of too many. Only went to the free throw line 10 times. That's too few. So there's some things that we were just on. But I'm sitting next to a warrior, right? And, you know, she had the night that we would expect night after night, and it was fun to be on her sideline for that.
Seemed like you were obviously getting out in transition, which we expected. Mm-hmm. But all the three-pointers, it seemed like at times you were playing 4 out.
Yeah, yeah. So they really, when they went to their zone early in the first quarter, they were really collapsing on post-entry, and so we were prepared to kind of play out of a high-low a little bit, but they really didn't want that, and so they were conceding the arc. And I think the first minute and a half, we kind of didn't shoot them as if like we wanted to try to get to what we wanted, and then we started to just take the shot that we were given, yeah, shot the ball pretty well. I still think we can make more, but pretty well.
Courtney, why was it important for you to have this game on your schedule for the last 2 seasons?
Yeah, you know, we like playing in state when we can. We obviously can't do it all the time, every game, but also my very first time at A&T was last year, and I was like, that was awesome. You know, it's a really loud environment. You know, we're a really young team outside of basically Indya's experience, and so the more you can put them in this type of environment that's loud and they kind of, I can't help them possession through the game, is really good, and it proved really well for us last year, and I think it will really help us this year too.
Absolutely, and just kind of thinking, you know, long term, when you guys are putting together a schedule that you want to be competitive, strength of schedule to help with your kind of hope to host NCAAs. How does that kind of impact the thinking going behind like your non-conference schedule at a place like this? Yeah, a lot. I mean, obviously, you know, we think Fairfield will win their conference. I know these guys will pick third, but I think they can go win their conference. They're a young team, so you want to play the people that are going to win your conference, and if they're in your state, you definitely want to play them, right? And A&T is traditionally and consistently a pretty good team, so we know that we'll get protected a bit on our, you know, we won't lose a bit of respect in our schedule to play them. Did that kind of impact your decision about having the game in Greensboro versus, you know, at Carmichael? Yeah,
again, like if we're going to go on the road, we want to have a great environment where we can learn from, right? And if you go to it, there's not every university can field a fan base like they can, right? And so when you go, you are definitely the away team, right? When you come here, and sometimes even in our own league, you play in a gym and it maybe doesn't feel like you're an away team. It's just different rims, right? And different backdrop. This feels like an away game. So really, they earned an opportunity to have a great following, and we're thrilled to be a part of being on the other side of that at times.
Yeah,
Coach. Oh, sorry. You can go ahead.
Oh, okay. I guess just following up on that, just while we're kind of on the topic, thank you. Just for Indya, like as a player, if you could kind of explain or describe rather, like what's the environment here has been like, you know, both today and then last year.
Oh yeah, just electric. You can tell that they love their team, and we definitely hear it on the floor, you know, from the fans, and just how they support their team. And, you know, when they make runs, we kind of hear it, and that's also good. Coach Banghart was saying, like, you know, playing in these away gyms where we can kind of feel the pressure on and then wanting to perform in that so that we can do that later on in the season.
And if you talk about the open court game, the freewheeling, the perimeter shots, it seems like with defense, fuel, and the transition, that all of that plays into your game. Can you talk about how that game?
Yeah, defense has always been a part of my game. You know, offense is there, but I feel like I find my rhythm on the defensive end and then get easy ones, and then I feel like the offense comes easier after that. Yeah, today, you know, just being aggressive. We want to lock in on the defensive end, and I feel like each game we've been making steps. I feel like today we could have been a little bit better, you know, not fouling as much, but we do want to be known as a defensive team all around.
What did you learn from this game as a team?
You know, I feel like we could have adjusted better to the calls. Maybe, you know, managing our aggressiveness on the defensive end, staying straight up instead of bailing people out, and then also ending it with a rebound every time. So yeah, you know, just things that we know we can learn from and grow from leading into the next game.
Coach, Antonio Mattox with A&T registered.
Yeah, of course.
You guys picked up in full court pressure from the tip-off. So is that something that you guys usually do, or did you want to try out something different schematically with your defense today?
No, we like to pick up. We don't want people to get comfortable. We want to have them play less on a shot clock. You know, it just gets us going, and we've got great depth. And so we don't need to, you know, last year we played a much thinner rotation, and so you don't want to fatigue yourself over the course of a long season. But we feel like we have the depth to put a lot of pressure on people, kind of, and wear on them over and over and over. And whether that's you get steals, or whether that's you get yourself moving and going, or whether that's you get to play in a short shot clock, they're all wins for us.
And can you talk about the determination that it takes for your team to come into an away environment with fans that are cheering loudly the entire game?
Yeah.
And just speak to how difficult it is to do that when you're not at home.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming off of playing out in Vegas, 3 time zones away, and playing arguably the #1 team in the country, and then a 30-win, a team that's lost, 8 games in 3 years in Fairfield. And then you come on the road right away to play A&T. When you schedule, you don't necessarily know exactly what you've got on your roster, but I know I had her, right? And this is her chance to have her senior year, and what she's given our program, and how much she's grown. Like, I want to make sure that the pieces around her are ready, right? And so whoever was going to be, we had a pretty good sense of who's going to be on our team. We didn't know we'd get Alina. We didn't know we'd get Nyla Harris. But the more we can challenge our team, young team, early. I know other people have strategies that are different. They want to stack wins. We want to challenge our team, and we can take away that, as Indya said, we didn't adjust enough to the calls, right? And so, and we kind of got a little bit lackadaisical playing behind in the post, right? Those are things we'll take away, so that when we play on Sunday, we'll be a little bit better. Whereas if you don't have a competitive matchup, you don't really know, you don't value the possessions in the same way. So yeah, we're certainly thrilled to be here, and we'll keep coming back as long as they'll have us.
I guess just a quick note on that. I mean, both of you guys have mentioned kind of the adjustments to the calls. Obviously, pretty big discrepancy in terms of like calls.
You think? What was it?
So,
24 and 12.
Right. So I guess just for you guys, again, talking about like adjusting to the calls. So in the second half, when you guys have a game like that that's being called like that, I'm curious for both of you, like as a player, then as a coach, how do you adjust? Maybe just the way that you're playing, the way that you're like coaching your team.
Yeah, if it's a league game, you probably go into alternative defenses. You go into some zone stuff. You go into some different ball screen coverages. But this was about us getting better, and I felt like we'd stretched the lead where it wasn't going to be a game we lost. So it was competitive opportunities in a live gym to try to make them adjust, right? So I think it's different when the time of year it is. That's what I would say.
Without getting you into trouble, is it the officiating, or is it the way you all play defense? Which one is it?
Yeah, I think it was. When the score is what it is, it's hard for all sides. I get it, and so I'll have to go back and watch the film. But it's not often you're in a discrepancy with both teams being really aggressive. I mean, we're a pretty aggressive group. To have it be 2-1, but I've got to go back and look at it. Of course, there's some as a coach you don't like when you see them live, but we'll go back and watch them closely. And these guys know that the ones that are their fault, they'll see the ones that are their fault.
Yeah, I guess I was just gonna follow up really quick. Sorry for and you just on my last question again, and not like asking you to speak to or like criticize the officiating, but just like you talked about adjusting when a game is maybe being called like more, right? More fouls are getting called in the second half. As a player, how do you adjust?
Yeah, I feel like I've had to do that my whole career, getting early fouls, especially in the last game against Fairfield. It's just coming in and playing solid defense, not gambling too much, making sure we're just in the right position, focusing on those types of details. And then when they get to the basket, just walling up and not, falling into, trying to block a shot, even though that's temptation for us. But yeah, just being solid and just focusing on our principles, really.
Nyla Brooks, her confidence seems to be soaring. What have you seen from her in the last couple?
I think it's her buddy, it's her assigned buddy to start the year, and she's been great, saying, I'll take care of it, you be confident, right, and go out there and attack. And so, You know, I always say there's 3 decisions, the good decision, the bad decision, and the no decision. And we've told Nyla, we'll live with good or bad, we're not gonna live with no decision, right? So right now, what she knows is to catch and shoot, and that's the good decision right now, right? And you're starting to see her go off the dribble and find others better and better as it goes on too. So an aggressive Nyla Brooks is what we need, and a confident Nyla Brooks is the work that she puts in and her teammates telling her that the no decision is what we're not living with.
And Tyson and Blanca, will we see them soon?
Yes, you will. You'll see both, I would hope, by, I don't know if Sunday. We'll see. It's a quick turnaround, but we'll see them both soon.
And then we'll have time for one last question.
This is just like a curiosity.
Yeah.
It doesn't really pertain to the game, but I'm curious. I mean, rule change with like the women's side not tucking jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious. You tuck your jersey. A lot of your teammates, I've known, like pretty much most of them don't. Why do you choose that? And I mean, is that like a big deal for maybe you as a player, you as a coach, for players to like have that choice?
I don't know. I just feel like it's routine for me.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know, shift my mindset when I'm all ready for a game. That's just me. I feel like some of my teammates, they don't mind it, so they just untuck it. But I feel like it's not that big of a deal for us.
That's why I wear a dress down on the sideline.
Yeah.
It gets me in my zone. You know, I think what happened is the jerseys are getting smaller and smaller as the style goes in, and so they can't stay in. And so the refs were tired of telling everyone to tuck them in, and they don't stay in. You know, Blanca's it's not long enough for how long she is, right? So that's why the rule's in place. You know, when I coached at USA Basketball, you had to tuck your shirt in, right? I don't know if that's still the case. I don't know if it will still be the case. You know, everything's kind of changing. So uniforms are changing. I think it's funny, those that are untucking it, that have uniforms that aren't made to be untucked, right? And so they're like really low. But that's because their school hasn't figured that out yet. But our guys, it doesn't bother me. It's just part of their style at this point.
Awesome, great, thanks everyone.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.